General Hospital spoilers state that many are wondering if Harrison Chase could face divorce devastation. Some unsettling conversation about Brooklyn Quartermaine may have just ended Chase's marriage, so let's discuss a recent clue. Tracy Quartermaine confronted Chase on GH's July 11th episode to express her concerns about Brooklyn and the path she's taking. Tracy wants to stop the violence because she cares about Brooklyn and Lulu Spencer. Lulu and Brooklyn will probably never get along, but it would be nice if they could at least put an end to the retribution cycle. Tracy believes Brooklyn and Lulu should stop harming each other since they are also hurting themselves. However, Chase revealed something during his talk with Tracy that may result in some anguish for him in the end. Despite Tracy's concerns, Chase is unconcerned about Brooklyn doing anything to upset their relationship. "You know, I appreciate your concern about our marriage, but I love Brooklyn and I'm gonna spend the rest of my life with her," Chase told you. "And I can promise you this right here, right now. There is nothing that she could do that would ever drive me away, nothing." Such a bold declaration can only lead to trouble. Chase's huge declaration is sweet on the surface, but Brooklyn may eventually prove him wrong. Many fans took note of that exchange on social media and wondered if divorce was on the way. Despite his confidence that nothing can separate him from Brooklyn, is Chase on the verge of becoming single? We can think of one thing that might change Chase's attitude, and it was hinted at in the scene immediately following Chase's comment to Tracy. Despite his indignation at the Rocco Falconeri scenario, Dante Falconeri eventually enjoyed a pleasant moment with Brooklyn. Dante consoled Brooklyn over Giovanni Gio Palmieri's rejection, and expressed hope that they would ultimately be able to show him love. It was fascinating to hear Chase make such a bold statement, and then see Brooklyn melt into Dante's soothing arms. Could all of this be leading up to Brooklyn cheating on Dante and ending her marriage? General Hospital spoilers indicate that Chase may face more turmoil in his relationship than he expected, so stay tuned for updates on any major developments. According to General Hospital spoilers, Nina Reeves has a secret that could stop Drew Quartermaine's relentless blackmail of Dr. Portia Robinson, but it will come at a high cost. Nina's previous relationship with Drew, which is disguised from Willow Corinthos, offers her leverage to stop his threats against Portia for tampering with Heather Weber's medical testing. With Nina and Portia's collaborative plan to employ Jacinda and frame Drew for knowing about ketamine usage, Drew's concentration on Portia saves Nina, for now. But Curtis Ashford knows about the affair. Why hasn't he exploited it to release his wife? Can Nina get the strength to expose Drew and jeopardize her relationship with Willow? Or will her silence trap Portia? Nina's secret could stop Drew Cold. Nina's torrid relationship with Drew, which occurred prior to his engagement to Willow, is a ticking time bomb that has the potential to destroy his blackmail and save Portia. Their strategy with Jacinda sought to bring Drew down, but his retribution has kept Portia under his grip, while Nina has escaped untouched, most likely because Drew is afraid she will reveal the affair. A dramatic encounter may prompt Nina to divulge the truth, but the risk of alienating Willow, who is already vulnerable after losing custody of her children, looms big. Will Nina's courage fail? Or can she use her secret to push Drew to flee? Spoilers. Why hasn't Curtis acted? Curtis, who is aware of Drew and Nina's romance, has the same leverage but has not utilized it, maybe to safeguard his marriage or to avoid exacerbating tensions with Drew's personal goal. Furthermore, Curtis has always valued his friendship with Nina, but is he truly prioritizing her over his wife right now? His reticence, as evidenced by his watchful interactions with Jordan Ashford, could be due to a fear of involving Nina in the issue. General Hospital spoilers. Is Nina the only one who can persuade Drew to back off Curtis and Portia? If Curtis intervenes, will he rescue Portia or spoil Nina's delicate dance with her daughter? A risky play for freedom. Nina's probable move could upend her own life, saving Portia but jeopardizing Willow's trust, while Curtis' silence preserves the status quo. If the truth is revealed, Drew's engagement and plans may implode, leaving Willow plummeting, most likely without support because she will feel betrayed by her own mother. Online forums are blazing with followers chanting, "Nina, take him down," and others fearing that Willow will not forgive her. Is Nina the only one who can persuade Drew to drop Curtis and Portia, or will her fear of losing Willow, along with Curtis' passivity, keep the blackmail alive? Keep coming back with us for more GH news and spoilers to see how everything unfolds. General Hospital spoilers suggest that Britt Westbourne may face an amnesia twist. Liesl Albrecht may be entrusted with determining whether her daughter has genuinely returned from the grave, so let's talk about what to expect. Kelly Thibault is preparing for an amazing comeback tale that will add plenty of excitement to the canvas. Thibault will make her on-air return before the end of July, so it won't be long before her character throws things up. Of course, the show hasn't revealed whether Thibault is playing Brit or someone else. There must be some excellent reasons for all the secrecy, so let's talk about them for a moment. For starters, Heather Weber's poison hook nicked Brit, resulting in his death. If Brit is still alive, there will be a very unusual explanation. There have been rumors of a clone storyline, especially because Professor Henry Hank Dalton is keeping everything under wraps in his research lab. Regardless, GH fans may be left wondering if this woman is Brit, a clone, or another form of doppelganger. Even Thibault's character may be unsure whether an amnesia twist is in the works. If this is Brit, her memory may have been erased or damaged as a result of whatever nefarious experiments she has experienced. Brit may not remember who she is or anything about her previous life in Port Charles, at least initially. Jason has already discussed how much Brit had changed by the time she died. If Brit is unable to recollect her previous crimes and plans, it may add to the overall clean slate theme. In other words, Brit may be appalled when she receives updates on her history, particularly the stolen embryo mess involving Rocco Falconeri. However, we could be dealing with a clone who has no memory of Brit's life. Perhaps this clone was meant to be memory mapped but has yet to go through the process. Whatever the case, an amnesia twist might heighten the tension and force Liesl to examine Thibault's character. Albrecht knew Brit better than anybody else, therefore she should be able to identify if this is her own daughter. According to General Hospital teasers, Kelly Thibault's return this summer will undoubtedly heat things up and offer some stunning news. Chase had always believed that his marriage to Brooke Lynn was meant to last. Theirs was a love that had survived storms, betrayals, secrets, and the harsh reality of life in Port Charles. But recently something had changed, something subtle but clear. It was in the way she stopped too long before answering to his questions, the time she turned away instead of meeting his gaze, and the developing silences between them, which had previously been filled with laughing and music. Brooke Lynn had always been passionate, feisty, and determined, particularly when it came to her work and family legacy. Chase did not see her ambition as a danger. Rather, he admired her for it. However, recently that passion began to feel misdirected. She was always sidetracked, delving deeper into work at deception and exhausting herself with new business ideas. Chase had tried to be understanding, given her room and time, believing it was only a phase. But the nagging sensation in his belly told him there was more going on. He couldn't ignore it any longer, especially after overhearing Brooke Lynn and Maxie's talk at the Savoy. Their words were not explicit, but the stress in Brooke Lynn's voice was clear. "I can't keep doing this, Maxie," she'd said quietly, her voice cracking. "I feel trapped," the speaker says. Chase had been thinking about the word for days. He didn't want to jump to conclusions, but they bothered him. Did Brooke Lynn feel trapped in her marriage? Was he suffocating her without knowing it? Brooke Lynn, on the other hand, was overwhelmed by contradictory emotions. She knew she loved Chase. He had supported her through everything, from her manipulation of Valentine to her most difficult family moments. But recently, she had begun to feel the weight of being a Quartermaine more strongly than ever. The family expectations, the constant scrutiny, and the struggle between staying true to her roots and starting a life with Chase were beginning to devour her. She had built a name for herself again, clawing her way back into the music scene she had previously abandoned. But suddenly the stakes seemed bigger. Every action was analyzed and every success was not without consequences. Ned and Lois each had their own idea for her future. Lois wanted her kid to remember who she truly was, beneath the Quartermaine name. Ned wanted her to carry on the family's legacy with dignity. And then there was Tracy, whose incessant interfering and passive-aggressive statements about Chase not being Quartermaine material were beginning to erode Brooke Lynn's faith in the marriage. One night, Brooke Lynn arrived home late, expecting Chase to be asleep. Instead, he sat on the couch, the living room softly illuminated, with his police badge and wedding ring on the coffee table. He didn't say anything at first, but stared at her with sleepy eyes. "We need to talk," he finally stated. Brooke Lynn nodded slowly and set her handbag down with quivering palms. I know. They sat quietly for a few minutes, waiting for the other to speak. Finally, Brooklyn broke it. I never wanted to hurt you, she said quietly. That's not what I'm worried about, Chase said, his voice low but firm. I'm more worried that you don't want to stay. Brooklyn's lip quivered. It's not that simple. Maybe it is, Chase answered. Maybe we've both been trying so hard to convince ourselves that love was enough that we stopped asking whether we still want the same things. Her eyes were teary. I still love you. I love you too, the man replied. But love doesn't mean we're okay. The days that followed were marked by quiet avoidance. Chase immersed himself in his profession, working double shifts and volunteering for night duty. Brooklyn retreated to the Quartermain home, stating the necessity to concentrate on a significant deception launch. They did not argue, they simply stopped communicating. Maxie saw the shift right away. So did Sasha. Even Michael gave Brooklyn a troubled look one afternoon and softly said, Is everything all right with you and Chase? Brooklyn's silence was sufficient. When Olivia cornered her daughter one evening and asked if she needed a break from everything, Brooklyn eventually said she had no idea what she needed. He is a good man, Ma. He is better than I deserve. But I feel like I'm losing myself. You don't have to pick between yourself and your marriage, Olivia murmured softly. But what if I already have? Brooklyn muttered, barely audible. Chase meanwhile confided in Dante. He let his guard down while drinking beer at Charlie's. I don't think she wants to be married to me anymore. Dante asked. She won't say it, Chase answered. But I feel it. It's as if she's already gone. Dante scowled. So what are you going to do? I don't know, Chase said. I figured we'd make it. I actually did. But maybe we rushed things. Maybe we wanted to prove something, to her family, to ourselves. Chase's private horror of approaching divorce was becoming public knowledge in Port Charles. Tracy, never one to disguise her disdain, mumbled to Monica during brunch, I said from the beginning this wasn't going to last. Even Monica, the voice of reason, couldn't reject the warning signs. Then came the scary moment that threw supporters into a frenzy. In the Quartermain living room, Brooklyn sat beside Lois, silently staring at her wedding ring. Lois softly inquired, Are you still fighting for it? Brooklyn did not respond. Silence spoke volumes. The episode concluded with Chase at the PCPD, staring out the window while holding their wedding photo. The look on his face, heartbroken, detached, and resigned, left observers frightened. Social media exploded with speculation. #Chase and Brooklyn trended again, but not for romantic reasons. Fans questioned whether this was the end. Some wished for a spectacular reconciliation. Others prepared for the divorce papers. Then came the leak. A future screenplay portion featured Brooklyn confessing to Sasha that she felt she had failed Chase emotionally by concealing her unhappiness. I never meant for it to get this far, she tells Sasha. I assumed I could fake it till I figured it out. But I'm simply making things worse. Chase is not foolish. He perceives the remoteness and remorse. And when he sneaks in on that chat and hears just enough to understand, he gently walks out before either woman notices him. He does not confront her. He just starts packing his backpack. Brooklyn returns home to find it half empty. A modest message awaits her on the kitchen table. I love you. But I will not stay where I am unwanted. Brooklyn holds the message, her breath seizing in her throat. This was not how things were supposed to finish. This was not how she had envisioned her life. However, the true tragedy may not have been the loss of love. It had not been enough. Still, a part of her refuses to let go, not yet. She finds herself revisiting every memory, every moment, wondering what she missed and what she said to push him too far. Chase avoids everyone while staying in the Metro Court. Dante tries to reach him, but Chase does not respond. His sadness has hardened into a colder, protecting shell. The General Hospital fanbase remains divided. Some believe the program is preparing for a redemption narrative, a dramatic reunion inspired by newfound purpose. Others say this marks the end of Chase and Brooklyn's relationship, paving the way for new love tales and sad regrets. However, in Port Charles nothing is ever definitive. A shared sorrow, a twist of fate, or a single moment can alter everything. Brooklyn watches out her window that night, wondering whether fate would intervene, or if she really needs to let him go. Drew Kane has gone on a rampage, and everyone in Port Charles knows it. His growing fixation with power and leverage has turned him into a dangerous wild card, unconcerned about how many people he knocks down on his climb to the top. For Curtis and Portia, the strain has only risen. They've attempted to stay cool and maintain a barrier of respect, but Drew's desire to intrude in their lives appears to have no limit. He's breached boundaries he once vowed never to cross, and now the aftermath threatens to destroy them all. Portia's rage is seething under the surface. She's not just angry, she's afraid. Every time Drew appears, there's another veiled threat, a reminder that their personal lives are no longer private. He's been questioning Curtis about the clinic, the finance, the partners, and even Portia's professional honesty. They initially attributed it to stress, as Drew had experienced his fair share of trauma. However, this is not like the others. This is deliberate, strategic, personal. And this raises the question, what exactly does Drew want? Curtis, too, is disintegrating. While he tries to keep his customary calm and logical approach, cracks appear. He knows Drew. They were once close enough to share mutual respect. However, Drew is now a guy with a score to settle and nothing to lose. Curtis is following in his footsteps. Drew's activities are not only business-related, they are also emotional. They are targeted. And Curtis is no longer certain that diplomacy will work. Portia intends to fight back. She's tempted to share Drew's past, all she knows about his shady dealings and questionable decisions. But Curtis advises restraint. He fears that escalating this fight will have far-reaching ramifications for their reputations, families, and possibly their safety. That puts them in a catch-22. They can't move forward yet aren't willing to give up and let Drew make the decisions. And then there's Nina. She has been following Drew's decline with alarm and bewilderment. Nina, who was once his buddy, now sees the man he is becoming, or perhaps the man he has always been, buried beneath a layer of charm. She is no stranger to manipulation, but even she considers Drew's methods harsh. Still, she might be the only one with enough power to persuade him to back down. Their history is murky. They've revealed secrets, formed alliances, and even had moments of tenuous trust. Nina has a unique ability to communicate with Drew that others lack. She recognizes the emotional shifts within him, the buried insecurities that drive his current acts. She knows how much he dislikes feeling powerless and being underestimated. But more crucially, Nina understands how to implant an idea in Drew's mind without making it appear like a suggestion. She's already tried to reach out once, but was received with polite deflection. Drew refuses to recognize that he is sliding, that his warpath is motivated by pain rather than strategy. But Nina isn't finished. She is resolved to try again, not for Drew, but for Curtis and Portia. She's seen them try to hold their lives together as Drew throws them into chaos. And for once, Nina intends to use her influence for good. She approaches him cautiously, picking her words like a surgeon's scalpel. She does not accuse him. Doing so would just make him more defensive. Instead, she provides insight and reminds him of who he used to be. She talks of Drew, who defended people rather than destroyed them. Drew, who turned down expensive deals. Drew, who previously stood by Curtis rather than against him. And for a brief second, she notices a flash in his eyes, recognition, perhaps regret. But it doesn't last very long. Drew's pride is a towering fortress, and Nina can only do so much before he closes the doors again. He insists that Curtis has secrets, that Portia is concealing something, and that the two of them are impeding progress for selfish reasons. Nina realizes this isn't about Curtis at all. It's about control. Drew has lately lost a lot of authority, and he is now seeking to restore it in any way he can, even if it means treading on his former buddies. Nonetheless, Nina does not give up. She changes tactics, appealing to Drew's rationality rather than his guilt. She describes the potential consequences, how this fight might poison public opinion, harm the hospital's reputation, and destabilize connections he's worked hard to develop. She tells him that vengeance always backfires. Most crucially, she asks him what he intends to earn. What is the end game? Is he truly willing to destroy Curtis and Portia only to feel like a winner? Her questions remain long after the conversation has ended. Drew does not respond to her, but he does not double down. That quiet is the first clear indication that Nina is getting through. She knows better than to push too hard. Sometimes the most impactful statements are left hanging in the air. Meanwhile, Curtis starts to notice a tiny difference. Drew's pressure does not disappear, but it does soften. The rough edges soften just enough to offer Curtis hope. He suspects Nina is behind it, but she hasn't said anything. And while Portia remains skeptical, she is willing to think that this truce, however temporary, could be the first step toward restoring some peace. But Drew is unpredictable. He's a man in transition, trapped between who he once was and who he's becoming. Nina's influence may hold for the time being, but Curtis is wise enough not to feel too comfortable. Drew may retreat, but he will never forget. And if provoked, he could strike again, harder and without warning. The real question is whether Nina can keep him grounded. Whether her presence in his life will prevent him from sliding farther. She isn't perfect, but she has a way of persuading people to expose their genuine selves, often without even knowing it. And if she can remind Drew of who he is beneath the wrath, perhaps there is a chance to avoid the storm that has been brewing. But Portia isn't sitting around waiting for someone else to clean up the mess. She is taking care, consulting with legal counsel, and documenting all interactions. She is determined to safeguard her family and profession, even if it means going to war. She trusts Nina to a point. However, she understands that trust in Port Charles is often a luxury, and Drew has made it apparent that he follows no one's rules but his own. Even still, knowing Nina is involved brings an odd sense of comfort. She isn't scared to get messy. She isn't scared to confront Drew square on. And if anyone has the courage to stand between Drew and destruction, it's her. Curtis observes from the sidelines, divided between appreciation and trepidation. He understands Nina's involvement carries hazards. Her personal background is complicated, and her loyalty is not always consistent. However, at the moment, she may be the only thing standing between Drew and complete calamity. And just when things appear to be calming down, a new wrinkle appears. Drew receives intelligence indicating that someone close to Portia has been leaking information. It's ambiguous, unproven, and possibly planted. But it's enough to rekindle the paranoia. Nina attempts to intervene, to talk with him before he acts. Drew's resolve, however, hardens yet again. His eyes are heavy with treachery, real or imagined, and he begins to plan his next action. Now Nina must determine how far she is willing to go. If she truly wants to stop Drew, she may have to go deeper and reveal things that Curtis and Portia have ignored. She'll have to put her friendship with him on the line, risking being labeled an enemy. Because Drew is nearing his breaking point, and if he goes too far, there may be no turning back. As summer progresses in Port Charles, the atmosphere becomes heavier. The dispute is no longer about business or grudges. It is about legacy, control, and the lingering scars that no one likes to confess they bear. Drew is at odds with himself, and Curtis and Portia are collateral in a struggle they never asked for. What about Nina? She might be the only one left who thinks there's something worth saving. The only one prepared to put everything on the line to protect Drew from becoming someone he can't live with, and someone Port Charles will no longer tolerate. The time is ticking, and Nina realizes she doesn't have many chances left. Everything might go up in flames with just one wrong phrase or error. According to General Hospital teasers for July 14 to 18, 2025, Drew Kane Quartermain is hitting hard and Carly Corinthos Spencer is making threats. As we always do on early edition day, we start with what's coming up for the remainder of the week. On Wednesday, July 9th, Curtis Ashford receives an update from Felicia Scorpio. She has been working for him on a PI project. Obviously, the update is about Jacinda, who is reportedly in Australia. Curtis certainly wants to shut down Drew. He wants to pay Jacinda to lie and say Drew was using ketamine voluntarily and recreationally, and that he's a true dirtbag. We all know he's a real dirtbag, but what Curtis wants her to say isn't true. So let's see if Felicia was successful on her hooker expedition. Jordan Ashford urges Curtis that she must do the right thing. So she's just going to leave his life totally, which I feel is the appropriate thing to do right now while he's still with Portia Robinson. Jordan should not be in the mix. That's his ex-wife, and she is romantically interested in him. If Curtis walks away from Portia, I believe all bets are off and Jordan can walk back in. They have not done a very good job with Jordan. They constantly pairing her with individuals just to have it fizzle away. It's difficult because she's stunning and the actress is brilliant. Drew's plan, Liz's chance and Sonny's threat, General Hospital drama unfolds. Soap dirt meanwhile. Drew informs Kai Taylor that he has a plan that he believes will succeed. And this could be about marrying Willow Tate and gaining custody. Or he may have found Jacinda when Kai informed him of Curtis' plans with Portia conspiring against him. Rick Lansing definitely wants Liz Weber to accompany him to the orchestra, and it appears like Liz may be willing to take a chance on hanging out with him, if not romance. Lucas Jones requests a favor from Carly. It could involve Sonny Corinthos and Marco Rios. Sonny also warns Jason Morgan that if anyone mistreats his child, their child would bear the consequences. So it appears that he is coming after Marco to punish Sidwell for the Christina Corinthos Davis incident, despite the fact that Sidwell set up a false trail to make it appear that Selena Wu's men were responsible. And at this point, Sonny may even believe that Sidwell burnt Michael Corinthos with the intention of killing him, which becomes more plausible given that Michael was not the original victim. Sasha's mental state, Willow's schemes, and Carly's discovery at General Hospital require Michael to reassure someone. And Sasha Gilmore asks someone if they think she's insane. So that's probably her and Michael discussing it. Michael had already told Chase that he would protect Daisy from Sasha if necessary. Horrible behavior. And it's probably going to make Willow Tate very pleased if she finds out. Sasha had previously been mistakenly admitted to a mental facility. I'm hoping Cody Bell finds out about this and helps out. Drew warns Willow to be careful. Drew appears to be discussing run-ins with Willow, similar to what she did at the pool with Michael to see Wiley Corinthos. And I believe he will advise her that it will affect the case and that she should concentrate on the wedding plans before they return to court. Carly informs Willow that she will not get away with what she did, and that Michael told her what she did. You would suppose that Carly discovered Willow was toying with the baby in this scene from the teaser. That's some clever editing. It's about Willow arriving at the pool to greet Wiley. More General Hospital spoilers. Jordan's doubts, Michael's terms, and Jocelyn grilled on Thursday, July 10th. Jordan refuses to trust Portia, which is not surprising. Kai has some information for Curtis, and I wonder if he'll tell him he blabbed to Drew, or if Kai is telling Curtis something Drew wants him to say to him. Michael also states his terms. This could be about baby mama conflict with either Sasha or Willow. Jocelyn Jax is questioned by Emma Scorpio Drake. It's probably about her public split from Hunk Vaughn. Emma may try to make her feel bad, as if she's a snob, which is exactly what Jocelyn meant because she wanted Emma's empathy radar to go off so she'd fawn over him. It worked like a miracle. Drew gains the upper hand over an opponent, and it'll probably be Curtis while it could be Michael, but I'm leaning toward Curtis. On Friday, July 11th, Lulu Spencer and Laura Spencer discuss family. Obviously, it will be about Rocco Falceroni learning about Britt Westbourne and asking all of these questions. And of course, Lulu will try to blame everything on Brooklyn Quartermaine. I'm simply wondering whether Laura will come back around and tell her that she told her not to pursue this Brooklyn issue even if Lulu had rationalized it and did it anyway. Lulu believes she has the moral high ground. BLQ believes she does. I've been reading the comments on Soap social media, and it appears that people are quite evenly divided on who they believe behaved the worst. I'm not going to weigh in. It's messy stuff and I don't want to irritate half of you. Rocco Falceroni makes a risky choice. It appears that he may seek answers about Britt's origins. It is odd that he would think she was his real mother rather than Lulu Spencer. However, General Hospital has been conducting a lot of paternity retcons and fabricating parents, so you can't trust them at all. I will stress that you can't rely on them to stick to actual known history. So let's see. Trina Robinson is furious, and it could be directed at Kai if he tells her that he has alerted Drew about what is going on. Anna Devane is there for Emma. I wonder if Gio Palmieri will accompany Rocco to help him uncover the answers. Chase receives a warning from Tracy Quartermaine, which may simply be to avoid the Lulu against Brooklyn conflict, but he is clearly going to be on Team BLQ. Heartache and Willow's schemes runs from July 14th to July 18th. Brooklyn is utterly heartbroken about Joe's hatred toward her. Brooklyn will undoubtedly be distraught. Gio is even more enraged with her now than he was before because he is defending Rocco and believes she intentionally wounded him. He is completely behind Lulu, which is really difficult for his birth mother. Willow is going to continue to target Sasha and Daisy,